same as everyone, I think.
Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the FA Cup game yesterday. Middlesbrough versus Tottenham Hotspur to score. Middlesbrough 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0 after extra time. I'm Sam Spurs for life, and as you can see, it is just not a happy occasion. I do try my best every single show. I've done quite a few of these shows, but it gets harder and harder when you have nights as yesterday. Before we start, let's hit that like button if you're watching live. Hit the like button if you're watching on record as well. Repeat, should I say. Make sure you share the contents. Yeah, exactly that. Do what we've got to do. Just like and subscribe and share and all the rest of that good stuff. Join in the house, as always, Paxton Road specialists, regulars, whatever you want to call them. Darius 3K, Sid Spurs. The old saying, if you do not laugh, you will cry. I now know why we do these shows straight after the games, because it's therapy. I changed it because I thought we might have penalties and it might end a little bit late, and thinking of other people's feelings. Little did I know that Spurs were not thinking of my feelings when they actually had the result yesterday. So that being said, Darius, talk to me. What's your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen from this point onwards? Talk to me about the game first, and then kind of go into where you want it to take it to. Over to you.
Cool. Can you hear me first of all? Is everything all right?
Yes.
All good.
Yeah,
perfect. The game, I mean, you could basically just put on the Burnley game, and that will basically answer all your questions for you. So I don't really think there's much to talk about the game, to be honest with you. The first half was poor. I think that is down to a lack of creativity in the team. I think that's also down to maybe potentially playing one extra defender. But at the same time, I will always stick to my guns in saying that 3 at the back isn't a defensive formation, and with the right personnel, you can play attacking. So it was just the Burnley game repeat. And to be honest with you, I didn't really watch that Burnley game, and watching the highlights, it was very, very reminiscent of Jose. And again, I put that down to Jose, but now we're here almost 2 years later, and some of the same players are still here, and new players in specific positions haven't been bought and haven't been replaced yet. And now I'm beginning to think it's a real problem, because we cannot create. We need, and I said this to a friend. I wasn't on the Leeds preview, but I said this to a friend. We'll beat Leeds 5-0. I predicted we'd beat Leeds 5-0 because it was so typical what was going to happen. Any team that does that to us, even Man City, even the Liverpools, we can still create chances because they allow us space. When we don't have that and teams want to drop off, it looks impossible for us to score. So individual-wise, I don't even really want to get into it. I'm pretty sure we will, but I'm not going to really personally get into it. There's certain players I think maybe have fooled me a little bit over this season and a half. Certain players I know and have known are not good enough. Harry Winks, for me, is the one that stands out. He's just not good enough. There was a simple 7-8 yard pass he had to make. Tried to do it first time, straight to the Middlesbrough player's feet, put us under pressure. Many times he wasn't even trying to win the ball in the tackle. When he lost the ball, he would just try to push the player over and miss most of the time as well. So that wasn't even successful. So it was just a lot of painful things that we've been seeing for years now. And to be honest, I'm kind of sick and tired of it. I'm almost completely losing hope at this point. I just don't really know where Spurs are going to move if these players are still here after the summer. And to be honest with you, after this result, I don't even think Conte is going to be here to sort of take over this summer. So for me, this is a very, very scary time. I don't really know what to think is going to happen in the future, because winning and losing.
Let me come to Cigar. I just want to, because Sid's obviously we're limited. Sid's got to go as well soon. I just want to get Sid's perspective on the game, and then we can have a little bit more of a discussion anyway. But Sid, just give me your thoughts on yesterday's performance and what you thought of the team set up, the desire, whatever it was you think about yesterday's performance.
Do you know what? We've said this, didn't we? Just take the one game at a time. We never know what's going to happen with Spurs. And yesterday, again summed it all up. I mean, looking at the team, what started, it was basically the same team that played Leeds. So you'd probably expect some kind of, well, similar performance to what they did against Leeds. I know championship sides are just complete different kettle of fish, and you have to raise the bar. Even though they're championship sides, you have to raise the bar because they're going to come out kicking and screaming. And when you got Wilder in charge, you know, he's been in the Prem before, Sheffield United, and we knew how teams struggle against Sheffield United. So you knew how he was going to get set up. And they had nothing to lose because they beat Man United in the last round, all by being on penalties. But we should have been up from the start. Yeah, we should have been at them. And JD has said it on Match of the Day and whatever as well. It looked like we weren't up for it. They're just not interested. He said you couldn't even tell this was a Premiership side. Middlesbrough looked like more the Prem. I don't know. It's just, you know what? I think the whole performance is just first 5 minutes you thought, all right, we're going to get into this. 10 minutes later, you know, and it's like advert, innit, where you watch the first 5 minutes and then it says 35 minutes later. And we're still all in the same position because we haven't got a clue what was going on, who was playing, you know, which was the Prem side. And Darius nailed it as well. A couple of them players yesterday. It's just, you know, not only Winks, I think Darius, I think Højbjerg done the same. Simple passes. Emerson Royal done the same.
Emerson as well.
Yeah, you know, and there was a few times Romero, even Dyer, Son was awful. And he, honestly, I don't know what was up with him yesterday. I think somebody put it yesterday. He lost the ball 17 times. And everything he did was one-dimensional, and they sussed him out. And Conte didn't react to it. Son never reacted to it. And I think for me, right, I think it was towards the end, we was 5 minutes from, or was it 3, 4, 5 minutes from the end of extra time, we had that ball at the back or in the middle, and he went back. There was no urgency to get that ball, pump it forward, you know, and attack. Lloris got the ball, I think, with 1 minute to go, and he just pumped it into no man's land. We're like, what the hell is going on here? And you know what? It was just, I'm putting the blame on everyone yesterday, and that includes Conte as well, because his post-match interview, mate, man's laughing. I know he can't cry, but the man's laughing in an interview. That sums it up for me. When your manager is laughing, it just makes us look like laughing stocks. And you know what?
He's laughing. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen some of it because I couldn't bring myself to, because I didn't know whether he was going to go off on a rant. So I didn't want to watch it straight after and think, you know what, this guy's gone off, because I felt like that yesterday. I think we all felt like that yesterday. I think he's got, I just don't know whether he's got anywhere else he can turn to in terms of what he can say. He can't go at the players, smash them up and break them down. He's gone at the club. He's tried to be nice. He's tried to say there's problems. He's been honest. He's done this. He's done it. At some point, things just aren't working. Now, again, looking at some of the details, we can always try and look at the details as to why we have performances like that. I can't give you the Burnley one, but maybe there is a possibility for yesterday's performance. If you think about it, the same team has played, the very same team, all 11, played Manchester City, they played Burnley, they played Leeds, and they played yesterday. The same teams played. And that's from Saturday the 19th until the 1st of March yesterday. So that's what, Saturday to Tuesday? What's that, 9 days? So they've played 4 matches in 9 days, and exactly the same teams played. No changes, because we've had, apart from, sorry, I'll tell a lie, when we've had the Bentancur. So Bentancur's had to obviously come out because of that. But literally, that's the only real change. We maybe have changed. I think it was in the, was it the Burnley game? Did Emerson play? I can't remember. But we haven't really done a lot with the team. I know midfield was struggling. Defensively, we have to rely on a certain amount of players. But we shouldn't have to go into a game like yesterday and think, oh, we're going to get outplayed here. And I didn't think we'd get outplayed, because I knew Middlesbrough were a decent team, but we got outplayed, you know. And that can only, I'm trying to put it down to fatigue. I'm trying to find an excuse as to why this team couldn't match the intensity, because that's all you have to do as a minimum, is match whatever the other team does. Chris Wilder got so much spot on yesterday. I didn't know what formation they were playing at one point because they played it so well. They had 4 at the back. It looked like sometimes they had 5 because they brought their fullbacks in and they made the midfield compact. I didn't know what they were doing, but their players did. Their players did. When I looked at our team, I didn't know what we were doing. And the players didn't know what they were doing at times because they couldn't break down exactly what we've talked about all this time. Darius, could Conte have done any more? Because like I said, there's loads of discussions about the manager tactics. I think he got out-thought yesterday again by a manager of a lower level, or certainly not at the same elite level as him. And this is my concern. We can blame the players. We can do all this, and I'm not going to sit here and say that players are good enough because some of them clearly are not. But when you have a manager at the level that Conte is, and I'm going to say that I don't care about any blowback from it, he's got to do more. When I've managed and coached, I blame myself for every defeat, regardless of what happens. I blame myself and I look for ways I can improve the team, how I can improve performances. I can't just say I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to play the same team. I'm going to play the same formation and not look at the opposition and think, hold on a minute, what's their strengths? What can I do with the strengths that I've got? Because we've got so many gaps here. I'm sorry, but at 15 million a year, 20 million a year, there's more responsibility that needs to be pushed on the manager. I'm not going to say that there's not been other things that's happened from the board down to the players over the last X amount of years. Forget all that, people, because if you're going to start looking at sound bites from me, that's what you're going to have. But 4 performances, we cannot blame the board for the 4 games. Do you know what I mean? Conte knows what he's got. He knows the players that he's working with. Forget about the transfer window. That's finished. We played Manchester City 19 days after the transfer window closed. So I don't want to hear any more bollocks about, the player's not good enough, because I know that. But I can certainly put out a team that can play against certain other teams with lesser ability and get intensity out of them. That's what I want to see. And that's what makes me so angry that, we can't see from game to game our players with heart. And I'm scared that if Conte cannot get these players to have desire, he's going to lose it himself. That's my rant over with. I can't say any more than that.
Sam, I kind of disagree, to be honest. He tried to switch it up. He tried to play 4 at the back, and look what happened. Middlesbrough picked us apart. Too
late though, Darius. My point is, he changed it too late.
He changed it too late.
But we
were playing 3-4-3 for 70 odd minutes.
At the same time, when in that space of time when we did change it, we did create more chances, but we did also concede just as many. And had we conceded from one of those chances, people would have said, well, now we've conceded, there's the issue. And that's my problem. I saw Conte try to make a change, and the personnel didn't allow him to do that because they're not good enough. And I understand what you're saying, Sam. I 100% agree with what you're saying. Some things, yes, the transfer window's gone, you can't do anything. We all know that. You need to sort of adapt to situations. That's where you see very good managers like Tuchel, like Graham Potter, they adapt to situations. However, I mean, if you want to break down the team and you've got nobody who can play a threaded ball apart from your number 9, I think
I'm gonna just stop you there. So I want you to continue, but I'm just gonna add to this. What we're saying then is, from now until the end of this season, forget the results that have gone. I'm just saying from now to the end of the season, we're just gonna say, okay, the team's not good enough. Conte, you can do what you like. The team's not good enough. We're gonna because I can't accept that. I can't accept that as a manager. You're just going to have a free reign now and say, well, you know what? We all know. I'm going to tell you lot, and I'm going to tell the press, the player's not good enough, and we should have to accept that. No, because if Middlesbrough are playing 8th in the Championship and played like they were the Premier League team yesterday, that cannot be down to players' ability. It can't be. It doesn't make sense because they're in the Championship playing in 8th place, and they're not even top of that Championship. Please.
Sam, I said on the lineup, I almost put out the exact same team. I think the only difference in my lineup team was I played. I
think you started Bergwijn, didn't you?
I think I played Reguilon as a starter and maybe potentially no Session. Either way. Or I'm sorry, no, I didn't start Dyer, and Dyer did start. Either way, to me, that just proved to me that they are the certain players are the quality of Middlesbrough. And I said in that lineup, if they are good enough and if they are better quality than Middlesbrough, then I shouldn't have to worry. but I'm still worried because now that's confirmed to me. Some of those players are the quality of Middlesbrough, and unfortunately, Sam, as much as I don't want to sort of give Conte that let-off card, we've seen almost 3-4 years, almost 5 years of certain players running through managers doing the exact same thing and still here on the wage, on the paycheck. So at the end of the day, these players have to all be exiled immediately because it's just it's
but
ridiculous.
we can't get rid of a whole squad. This is the
now.
problem. You can't even get rid of 4 or 5 players.
But we have, because 3 of them have gone in January. 3 players that I didn't think would go in January.
Some of them are on loan though. There's some on loan.
That they won't be playing for Spurs, unfortunately. In my
regardless
opinion,
of whether they play for Spurs, they're not gone. And the point is, if they come back, we still got to get rid of them. Unless someone decides they're going to buy Ndombele. Unless someone decides they're going to buy, is it the Celso? Is he gone? He's not. He's on loan. Gil's on loan. The only player that got sold was bloody Delhi.
Send them on loan again.
Are all loan.
At the end of the day, in my opinion, those players weren't good enough. They weren't not good enough for Spurs. They just didn't want to play for Spurs anymore.
Let me ask Sid. Sorry, Darren. We'll come back.
Sorry.
Sid, can you make that excuse? We performed against Manchester City in a very, very positive way. We performed against Liverpool in a very, very positive way. Again, the 2 things that look like they might be coincidental in that is that both those teams are better than us by a long way and probably play and don't have any respect for us and just play front foot against us, and that maybe plays into our hands. The losses that we seem to have had recently have been to teams that maybe have had more respect for us and said, hold on, we know how you play tactically. Let us set up in this way and we can beat you. Because that's what Hasenhüttl did. That's what Wilder did to us yesterday. That's what what's his name did for Sean Dyche did against Burnley. That's what Enes Moura have done to us. That's what Luda Goretz have done to us. That's what who else has given us? Crystal Palace have done to us this season.
Yeah.
The list goes on. I'm not able to have the excuse of, well, it's all the players. No, because these teams are not better than us on paper with players in terms of the quality. You have to set up in different ways. I don't care. Maybe set up with a back 6 if you have to, or set up with a back 4 and 3 midfielders in front. If you haven't got all them 3 midfielders, set up that's going to make to your strengths. Play. I'd rather lose 4-2 or 4-3 than see what we saw yesterday. No heart, no desire. So why not play the youngsters? If you ain't going to have, we can at least say, well, we played youngsters and that's the excuse. What's the excuse for yesterday when we all said that's our best team, apart from the injuries that we haven't got with Bentancur? Sid, you talk to me. Tell me about it. Just.
Do you know what, right? A couple of things first, right? Do we not have a team, a team, does Conte not have a team of people that will go and watch Middlesbrough prior to this game? Did they not go to Middlesbrough on Saturday or watch them play and see how they play and try and get a grasp of what we're going to be going into? Secondly, right, they had a 34-year-old in midfield who absolutely bossed that midfield. And they had Paddy McNair, a Man United reject, right? I don't know if it might not be a reject, but he's in his 30s. He didn't give any time and space to Kane or Son whatsoever, right? Third point, my wife a couple of weeks ago said Spurs will go and batter and play against teams like Man City, Liverpool's and people like that. But against the lower table teams, championship sides, she goes, they'll get beat. And yesterday, you should have heard her. She was like, this is a disgrace. She went, I told you, you're going to beat Man City, but you can't beat teams like that. Now, we've got 15, 20 professional footballers that are playing in the Premier League, right? Yeah, Premier League standard. That performance yesterday, I wouldn't even say one of them would actually be classed as a Premier League standard because it was diabolical. There was no oomph in there. They didn't want to get involved. The 50-50 challenges, they were backing out time and time again. I saw Winks going in for a challenge, and you knew straight away that he ain't getting anywhere near that ball, and it's just Conte has to take some blame, yes. And I know Darius, you're saying no, but I think that the substitutions were too little too late. At half time, he knew Son should have gone off long time ago because it was just not happening. He didn't have a second dimension. Everything was get the ball, run. Doherty did all right, but again, that when I don't know what he tried to do, NFL goal or whatever, when Son was crying for it, then there was an instant where Son and Kane didn't shout for the ball. Everything was just lackluster. It was like, we've done the bit, we beat Man City, we beat Leeds. Oh, this is going to be a walkover. And Conte's body language on the touchline, he didn't seem like he was there to gear the boys up. It seemed like he didn't, he just thought, you know what, if I shout to these lot, nothing's going to happen. Yeah. And I'm just shocked that it went into extra time, because in all honesty, they should have won the game by 90 minutes. And our players look knackered more than their players. And we're Premiership players. And they look more knackered than Middlesbrough did.
So that goes back to my point about 4 games, and for most of them, but the majority of those players probably played in all 4 of those games. Certainly Kane, certainly Son, certainly Højbjerg. You can go through the defense as well. The same defense has been there in terms of the back three, blah, blah, blah. So we can make that as an excuse. And I'm going to try and use things in here. Come back to you, Darius, because I want you to explain the point just with regards to the Conte thing. Because like I said, I understand what you're saying, that we have to look at the players over the 4 or 5 years. But I'm looking at individual games. So if we look at 4 or 5 years, we've had loads of inconsistent performances to the different managers, right? So I can attribute that to players, blah, blah, blah. But when I look at 4 games in isolation, Man City, Burnley, Leeds yesterday, that has nothing to do with the board, has nothing to do with tactics, because of what I've seen. The level of desire. I can take losing to Burnley at Turf Moor on a midweek, because it's a very tough place to go. But what is unacceptable is the level of commitment from the players to go from Manchester City to the next game. Then we saw, right, Leeds is probably the best team to play, because you know exactly how they're going to play. So said, so done. Why haven't we done enough homework on Middlesbrough, knowing how they played against Manchester City at Old Trafford, where Manchester United, where they had effort after effort, but they were unlucky not to get. But Middlesbrough got through that, but they played well enough to get through away from home. They did homework. Their players matched the effort levels of Man United. They stuck in there. They got lucky. They got through. Did we even have any sort of, I thought, I started writing down after 10 minutes, Spurs playing, we've got a bit of a shape here, looking to play forward. This is looking good. Plenty of possession. Wing backs getting forward. And then 11 minutes, Burrow, this shape's quite fluid here. Other players are getting into space. And I started to put Burrow, good energy here, matching the work rate. Spurs predictable with their play. So I started on 10 minutes and started to work my way down to around the 15, 20, 25, 30. And it's all getting negative. It's all getting shit. It's all getting players not trying. Players just not. Can you explain that from a management, a player's perspective as to why that can be so bad in the effort levels?
You mentioned that commitment. You mentioned that drive, that desire. Do you think, and again, do you think it's Conte that's not trying to instill that? Do you think Conte doesn't have? Because on the sideline, for me, I can 100% tell that he wants to win every game, and you can tell by the reaction after the game he wants to win every game. So I don't think it's Conte who can't get his message across. I think these players, and I do think this is a massive case in football, are just in a stale environment, a lot of them. And I just think they just need to freshen their horizons, go to a different club and kind of rekindle their career, because being at a club for 5, 6, 7 years, it's a long time. It's a long time. And going through that many managers and the sort of turmoil that we have been going through in these past 5 years, from second place in the league now to getting kicked out of Europa Conference League group stages, it's just decline. So for me, I keep reiterating it. If you really do sort of work on just getting rid of players and certain individuals realizing that your time's up here and you just need to sort of, I guarantee you, if Harry Winks went to a Southampton, if Harry Winks went to a Crystal Palace, he'd probably look pretty decent, to be fair. And we probably all think, oh my God, why did we sell Harry Winks? But it's not because Harry Winks is any better. It's because Harry Winks has gone to a different club, been around new people, maybe better than the players that he's around, and makes himself look better. So I can't blame Conte. I can blame him, but I can only give him 10 max % of the blame for these calamities happening, because it's the same individuals we see for years doing the same thing under the same managers. You mentioned the Crystal Palace games. That was under Nuno. We still
I'm and the only reason I'm saying those results, though, is because I think if we look, sorry to interrupt, I think we've lost more games under Conte than we did under Nuno. I'm not sure about the percentages. I'd have to look more into that. But Conte came in and we were 7th, 8th. We're still 7th, 8th. Someone said we were X amount of points off top 4 when Conte came in. We're still that same thing. We had 9 games unbeaten under Conte, and we won quite a few of them. We've had some, the games where the Leicester one we should have really lost. Manchester City, we shouldn't have really won. Liverpool, we should have won, but it was we could have lost that one. So you take all them results where we were lucky to get the result, or at least put the effort into maybe come away with them points, but take them off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but the games we've lost, like the Burnley game, yeah, we if we'd have nicked one, it could have been different. But I didn't feel confident that we were going to win.
But this is the thing, Sam. In the Burnley game, I'm pretty sure he tried to go to a 4 again, and it didn't work. I think he is trying to make tactical changes within the game. I just think, again, the bench.
Shocking.
But when Jose was doing that, my point is we have to have the same energy.
Okay,
when Jose was stinking out the place, when we were saying certain things and he wasn't changing his thing and we were playing certain players, and even though Son and Kane were having the phenomenal, we were saying, Jose is very negative. We're playing counter-attack football. We're built on counter-attack football now. All we did yesterday was counter-attack.
Let me reiterate my point again. With Jose, the overall football was not good. We all know the football was not good. The football was only good from going from transition from defense to attack. With Conte, we've seen that we can actually create chances. The football is good. It's one touch. This intricate.
We're 8th. 7th or 8th.
However, we do not have the personnel to be able to play the football he wants to play. If you give Conte specific players for specific positions, i.e. an incredible creating right back, an incredible creating left back, a deep line playmaker, we've got nobody who can play make from the middle.
So what we're now going to say is from now to the end of the season, we just don't care. Because that's effectively what we're now going to have to look at. Because Conte's hasn't got the players. He can't care. He looked like yesterday he didn't know what else he could do. He wasn't animated because he thought, well, I've done all I can, and well, that's it now. Spurs are going to do what they're going to do.
But in my opinion, that's the mindset I have right now. I don't care at the moment because I realise now if these players are going to play under Conte, despite him improving them, they're still not good enough. I know the sort of players Conte needs to make his system work, and I've seen that there is definitely a plan and there is definitely an improvement in the football that we play. However, those players cannot play that football. In the summer, if there isn't a change, it's done. He's going to leave. But I actually do believe that there's nothing he can do for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can get enough points to get us into the top. But I don't think there's nothing he can do.
You know, Darius, you just said.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, Darius, you said about you can see we're playing fluid or entertaining football under Conte. Actually, right, I sort of disagree with you on that one because we're not seeing it week in, week out. We're seeing it in patches, and you said that we're seeing it every now and then. We saw that under Mourinho as well, every now and then. But we saw a lot of negativity, a negative side of Mourinho's defending and stuff like that. To me, I don't see there's any much difference between what Mourinho is doing and what Conte is doing. Only difference is obviously Conte is, everyone says he's a world-class manager, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of fluid and entertaining football, I can't recall that much of entertaining football that I've seen under Conte. Any difference to what we see with Mourinho? They both attack.
Don't forget, and I'll add on to this. We've had excitement because we've had the Leicester's games, we've had the Man City games. That's exciting because we should have lost Leicester. We scored 2 goals, 92nd and 95th minute. We should have lost. Don't get it. That was exciting for us. So we're clouded by excitement. Manchester City, exactly the same. We gave away a penalty to make it 2-2. They probably could have gone on to win that game in normal circumstances. Manchester City would probably have maybe nicked it, but we won. We got excitement clouded over the actual game itself. We played very well, but we weren't exactly going away with it. City, having not played really that great, I'm not going to take away going to Manchester City and winning against the league champions. League champions elect for this season as well, possibly. But other teams have gone there and performed against them. So again, we can take that into a little bit of context. However,
the only team I can think that did that was Southampton and Arsenal in the first half of their game. Like at the end of the day, the way you beat Man City, I don't really care. I understand the frustration about the Burnley game and the Middlesbrough game, but again, to beat Man City like that, to beat Leicester like that, I'm not bothered about the way we win those games. I've also seen in that Man City game the way that we could actually carve open Man City.
Hold there. So you just said you don't care how we win those games. That's what Jose said. That's what Jose did. He doesn't care how he wins, but we were not having it. We were, remember, we were top at Christmas last year. We were top.
I don't care about how. If we win in the 95th minute, I couldn't care less how we win. It's the games like Burnley and the games like Middlesbrough where you expect to at least create chances and score a few goals where you can get frustrated. For me, that is down to the lack of creativity in the middle. There is nobody, like Darren Murphy said and I don't even like Darren Murphy, but he was making sense. There was nobody to take any risks. There's nobody like a Bruno Fernandes who might just put a ball into Kane's space to do that for somebody. And if you're playing one-touch football, that allows you to do that. If somebody can put a ball in behind the lines off a first touch, you can throw so many players off. Son would have looked so much better. But we don't have that. We can't do that. So unfortunately, we're going to have to differ on opinion. We won't agree on this because at the moment I've completely given up. I actually do believe that Conte can actually turn this around.
I don't think he can.
Not
don't know. I look. See, I'll come back to you, Sid. But unless we get 6 or 7 players, and we might have to get more than that because we're going to have to get at least 3 or 4 players out. So if you do the mathematics and you do the average, we'd only then get in a +3 of players. We're going to need more than 3 players to change this round to make us competitive. Just for top 4. Forget leagues. Conte cannot win the league next season, regardless of what we do. I'm going to say that on record now. Regardless of what we do in the transfer, we cannot win the league. We're not at the level of Manchester City. We are not at the level of Liverpool, and they take time to transition through that. So we can't go from where we are now, throw in 6 or 7 players, get rid of 3 or 4 players, and expect us to be challenging. We've got too many deep-rooted stuff in here. To me, it comes back down to mentality. The mentality of the club needs to be changed by winning something. And that, I'll go back to my point. Anything, League Cup, FA Cup, play your strongest team to win this. Forget the top 4 business. It's a distraction. We are never, ever going to get an opportunity in the next 5 years or even 10 years to win a Champions League, in my opinion.
Just mentioned about play your first team, play your strongest team. He did. He played his strongest team. They are not good enough to even.
No, hold on.
Right. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But Darius, you know yourself. When you play football, you play your strongest team. That's obvious. But if players are tired or if players are not quite, playing up, you change pieces of your jigsaw puzzle. You don't just keep throwing the same jigsaw out. Here you go. You've won. So throw the jigsaw out again. Throw the same piece. No, go on. Sorry, I'm just ranting here.
What's the difference? You put on Bergwijn. What's the difference? You put on. Who else is
Bergwijn make a difference though. When he came on, he made a difference.
He did make a difference.
He made a massive difference, and that substitution should have been done at half time. Son should have gone off at half time, and I think Bergwijn should have come on because he made massive difference when he came on. He was actually doing things, whereas none of them other lot were doing anything. And I said to my boy, when you play Romero, and no matter who you play with Romero on that right-hand side, Romero must be thinking, for fuck's sake, what have I done to deserve this? Because he's doing 5 man's job. He's doing right back, right. They just disappeared. They're just so shit that Romero.
We will not win an FA. We will not win a Carabao Cup with this. That's what I'm trying to say. So unfortunately, even if you want to change your mentality, the only way to change your mentality is to get every single stinky player out of the club. And if it takes 3 years, then we aren't going to win a trophy for 3 years. The thing that I'm slightly excited about is the fact that it's 3 players that have been here for a while who I didn't think would leave when in January, which gives me maybe a bit of false hope, but it gives me slight hope that there might be a lot of players going out in the summer. Because I think that if you get out 5 or 6 players and bring in 5 or 6 players, Conte is the manager that has proven that he can turn things around in 1 season. And if he gets the players he needs, and if
that's with teams who've got the mentality. You're talking about Juve, you're talking about Inter Milan, you're talking about teams that have real winning
and
history.
Hadn't won a trophy for 10 years, and the players in that team.
But Liverpool hadn't won the league for X years, but they have history. They know that they can. They had won 16, 17, 18 league championships before they then got on to winning again. Their history is deep. even before they won the Prem, they still won Europa Leagues. They still won FA Cups. They won. They
But
won.
you know what
Forget about.
So Shane, you know what it was, Sam? With Liverpool, when Klopp came in, they weren't doing that well. But the one thing that they did, which we have considerably failed every year, they refreshed the squad every transfer window. One player, two player. You know what I mean? They brought in players.
Look at the Liverpool squad. Sorry, sir, interrupt you.
Yeah,
The Liverpool squad in 2013 when he took over to the Liverpool squad when he won the league is completely different.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
The individuals are that level of quality. Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah, Mane, they're all that level to where they can now win the league. Mentality, history, okay, cool, you've won a few trophies in the past. But if you've got shit players on your team, you ain't winning nothing, bro. No. Harry Winks is not going to win us anything. So at the end of the day, before we have to think about any of that, those players have to go. Mentality isn't going to change until.
So what is Conte's job now then? What is Conte's job? Because my opinion, if you ask me, Conte's job is to get the best out of the players
he has.
The team.
Davis, he's got the best out of Winks.
No,
he's got the best
I don't believe he's got the best out of them. The reason I'm saying that is because if you get the best out of your team, you recognize that we've all said it. Winks cannot play in a 2. Even if he had good performances, he cannot do it week in, week out. Winks cannot.
Bentancur injured, Skip injured. Who do you play?
I'm not saying there's not issues to resolve, but this is why he gets paid 15 million a year. He's not getting paid 500 grand.
Can't work miracles, man. Can't work miracles.
This is what I'm saying. So why have we paid 15 million for someone who can't work miracles, but yet we're still saying we want you to work miracles? That does not make sense.
Window. They've only been January. Three players, big
sorry,
wages.
Guys, Sid might have to go soon.
I'm going to go in. Yeah, what I was going to say is just a couple of things before I go. First thing is, right, this summer window, we're not going to get the 8-9 players that we need, right? Because Daniel Levy ain't going to pay for that 8-9 players. What you've said, Darius, we need at least 8-9 players that need to be shipped out, right? Half of them players should have been shipped out over the last 3-4 years at either January, summer. We failed to do that. He ain't going to give him that kind of money. Now that we're out of everything, we're not playing for anything apart from trying top 6 or whatever. That 10th and the FA Cup's gone out of the window, right? So, and I heard his interview and he said, I've just got to rely on the rest of the season, try and get the best out of the players and get the players to play the best to get us, he didn't say what position, as high as we can in the table, right?
He knows. Conte knows.
Exactly. He knows. So now Daniel Levy's got a massive, massive job in the summer, right? If he backs him, fair play. But even if you're going to get 6-7 players, we're going to need transitioning into this league, right? Because
this is what I'm saying. I agree with you completely.
They're not going to come straight in, right? He's not going to go and get any players from the Prem that have already developed and are used to the Prem and going to take us next level straight away. He's going to get players that are foreign players coming in, right? And they're going to need time to bed. They're going to need time to gel into this team. And it might take a year or two, like you're saying, Darius. It might even take 3 years. Question is,
Kulusevski, they seem to have fit in quite well. If you fit the right system, if you bring the right players in, Bentancur, we were begging for Bentancur to come back, and he's only played 4.
But
so
I think
the right players, it could work.
1 or 2 players might work, but to try and get an influx of 6-7 players into a whole new system, because they're all going to have to know how to play, where to play, what to do, when to do. I know Conte's a miracle worker, but if he can pull that off, then more than likely, you know what, I'll say hands up, well done. But
there's no chance.
You know what, I'm going to go in a minute, so I'm just going to say my final thing. Top 4's done, top 6 is done, right? And you know what, they've made us the laughing stock, yeah? And I'm honestly, under Conte, as much as he's a top manager, I see bits and bats of good football, and when it works, everyone's raving, oh, he done that, he done that. It's not I know it's not his fault. It's the shit players that he's got. But it seems like they're now picking and choosing when to play, when not to play. And they don't give a shit. They're not interested. And then they end up with people like us going ape shit because we want Conte out. We want him out. We want him out. We want Conte needs to change this. Conte needs to change that. It's the players. And everyone keeps saying it's the players. But he's got his hands tied.
That's my only point. He's got his hands tied now from March the 2nd until July 1st, or whenever the transfer window opens back up. The end of the season is end of May, so we've got 2 and a bit months. All I'm saying to you, people out there, is that it then? Conte's allowed to have this free reign of, well, the player's not good enough. It doesn't matter. We're going to lose to Arsenal. Oh, well, we'll go Old Trafford. It doesn't matter. The player's not. I can't have that, because if I'm in charge of any company, regardless of what tools I have, I've still got to do a job. So if I'm a toolsman, I'm a tradesman that's got, like I keep saying, my analogy might not be the best, but if I've got a dodgy hammer and I've got a bloody screwdriver that's not the best, I can't then say, well, I'm never going out. I can't do any work here. You know what I mean? I'm going to sit here, because you can't do that. You've got to use what you've got to try and do something with it. I don't believe there's been enough done with the squad that we've got, considering that the grief that I personally gave Jose when we were top of the league, playing not very good football, and in a cup final, to now, March the 2nd, where we've got one of the best managers in the world football, but he can't get anything more out of these players than Nuno did, realistically. That's the honest truth. Is that not fair? We're not getting more out. When I say performance-wise, we might be playing a bit better football, but what have we got out of them players more than Nuno did? You tell me. Nuno won 3 games in a row in the first, you know what I mean? And he beat Man City, all the rest of that sort of stuff. Great.
I don't think we'll ever agree, Sam. Personally, the only thing I'll say is this. Who would you rather Conte be taking over, or would you rather Conte be at the reins next season? Yes. And to be honest with you, I genuinely do believe he's done the best he can with these god-awful players. Gunnar King mentioned the players in the comment section. Those ones there, I think he's probably right. Maybe barring Mora.
I was going to say, yeah.
I would even not put Mora, but again, I think he's probably right. The rest of those players, bro, they've been in long enough.
Is Chris Wilder a better manager?
Chris Wilder's a good manager. Again.
Is Chris Wilder a better manager than Antonio Conte? Because last night it looked like he was. That's all I'm saying. Last night, I'm not saying overall. Last night's tactics of Chris Wilder beat Spurs, because I didn't know what they were doing.
But Sean, because it's not hard. That's the thing. It's not hard.
But this is what I'm saying. We can't just say, oh, well, it's not hard to beat Spurs. But we beat Man City. So what we're saying, it was luck. Was it luck?
We're going in circles, Sam, because this is what I'm trying to say. And me and Sid have said this. When a team defends in a low block, it is very difficult for Spurs, with the personnel they've got, to do anything against that. When a team comes at us and leaves a bunch of space in behind with a high line, Liverpool, Leeds, City, doesn't matter how good their players are, because they leave space, and because Conte's football very much revolves around one-touch football, and finding that space is a lot easier for us to create chances. It's not saying that any of the managers are better or worse. It's just saying that if you put 11 blokes on that pitch and tell them 6-3-1, they'll probably play better than if you put Man City and say, play on the high line and try and get in. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Hold again. When Jose was doing this, because Jose realised we weren't very good in possession, what Jose did is said, I'll let the other team have the ball because I can play off the counter-attack, because I can win better. I can win. That's what he did. So if you look back at the stats, most of the teams that we played against, regardless of who they were, had more possession than us. We're now saying, okay, because we've got a better manager, supposedly, we're now getting a bit more football, then what's the excuse then? Because I'm looking back at Jose's tenure now, and I'm only going back to this because we've got to have the same energy. I'm going to have the same energy. I was giving Jose grief for being top of the league at Christmas and being in a cup final in April. But yet the football wasn't great, but we would certainly, Kane and Son were certainly better than they are at this moment in time, overall, over that period of the season. Why can't we give Conte the same sort of, questions? Sid, sorry.
Yeah, listen, I've got to go because I've got to go.
Me and Darius will continue.
Yeah, just on the final thing, guy. Everyone just needs to now relax. Like we've said before, take every game as it comes now, because that's all we've got is a week every week to get ready for the game, and then sit back, strap yourselves in, and enjoy that roller coaster. So I'm out. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Please, everyone on the comment section, please smash the like button as well, because these guys are gonna go on and they're gonna, you're gonna have some good insight as well. So Sam, just relax a little bit, yeah. Please, Take care.
can't sit. I can't relax,
I know.
man.
No,
But
we're not
listen,
going
Do it.
to
listen,
sit up. We're
as
not-
that advert said back in the days, take it easy with a Cadbury's caramel. And on that note, I'm out. Take care, guys.
See you, Sid. Darius, me and you. Let's have a look at these stats because I think we need to have a look at some of these stats because it's like, to me, I hope I've got all the things right on the graphics. Middlesbrough 1, Tottenham 0, yeah, after extra time 0-0, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so 51% to Middlesbrough, 49% to Spurs. So again, we didn't have more of the ball than them. So again, I don't know what that means. If it means anything, 2% difference is not really much. Shots, 16 to 15. That's a continuation of a theme. You know, even against Leeds. Leeds had something like 19 shots. I know their shots on target weren't great, but they still had a lot of shots. 4 shots on target to them, 6 for us. 4 corners, 7 to us. 9 fouls, 12 to us. Score 1-0. Talk to me, guys. What do the stats tell you? I know you can't read everything into stats, and stats can. You know, stats don't lie, but they can deceive. What's your thoughts when you see that?
Shows me that the quality in players wasn't that different, to be honest with you. The stats are even, and I genuinely think a lot of those players on that pitch would probably just about get into that Middlesbrough squad because the way some of them play,
That's scary.
And I'm not even trying to joke when I say this. I'm being so serious. Like the way some of those players played. Again, I'll go back to my lineup show. I said I expect these players to be of better quality than Championship Middlesbrough side, which is why I think we should comfortably win this game. However, I've seen enough from these players to tell me that they aren't, and this has epitomized everything for me. This game, there was a few players that played well. There's a few players that I know were of better quality than this Middlesbrough side, but a lot of players in that team just weren't and proved it. And they did play well, to be fair. And Chris Wilder set up, like you said, Sam. He did set up to beat us, and he knew how to beat us, but
Brilliantly,
which is what's a shame. And unfortunately, I don't know how we combat it going forward for these 2 months, which is worrying because, I mean, if every team just decide, you know what, let's just stick 5 at the back and defend Spurs for the whole game, and they'll probably concede because of their shaky defense. We're probably going to lose a lot more games than we win this season, and that's going to look.
So for me, we have to be a little bit less. What's the word I'm trying? I can't think of the right word. We have to allow us to play as we are. Well, I'm trying to get my words out right. Be who we are. We are not, in my opinion, a team that does well, as you said, Darius, against a team that plays a low blocking. So that means when we've got possession and we need to work out what we need to do against them, we can't unlock them. We seem to do well against teams that leave us space in behind and we can play. Again, tactically, this is what I'm saying, what Jose did, but we didn't allow that because we've got too much pride. We shouldn't be at home and be on the back foot. That's not what we do. But Jose realized, hold on a minute.
Sorry.
We can't play on the front foot because we don't have the players. I'll play a little bit more of a cagey counter-attacking game and get results that way. But is our pride not going to? I won't say our pride. I'm talking about the fan base. If we see a home game against someone like, I don't know, a Leicester City or Brighton, you know, the teams where it's got decent possession, but we would say to ourselves, "Nah, they shouldn't have more possession than us at home." What's your thoughts on how we should approach them games?
I agree with you on that. I mean, if I was to come up against Leicester or Brighton, knowing how they play, I'd just say hold off, catch them on the counter, let them play. That's the way to beat them. Again, if we had better players, I wouldn't say that because I know that the quality of my players should be able to outshine the quality of that team, but they're not. So that's why I'd say that. The question I was going to ask you is, when we did go to 4, we did have more chances. However, we also did concede a lot more chances as well.
Mm-hmm.
It started off in that 4-4-2, where we had sort of Kulusevski on the right, and it was who played as a left midfield. I mean, you could play anybody really on that left midfield.
Mm-hmm.
You have a right and a left midfielder, and then you have a right and a left back. At least then, if you want to defend, you can even have 6 at the back at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might, or he should start playing 4-4-2 to start games. So at least then we've got more players going forward.
there's so many different conundrums, so many different aspects to that. Again, it all depends on if you start with that formation, and let's say you get the first goal. Again, it's looking at different aspects of the game. Get the first goal, go into half. Stats usually say that you score the first goal in the game. The stats suggest that you go on and win, or you certainly don't lose. That backs up. You can have a look at stats over years and years and years and years. That's why it's always important. They always talk about scoring that first goal. Going into halftime in the lead, you don't usually lose a game. Now, there's outliers, and people don't say, well, we lost this game and this happened. And that's just in general. So when you start a game, you have to then try and get that first goal, which is what we've seen in certain times when we start well. But when we don't start well, we're under pressure from that perspective onwards. So again, that's when you start chasing. So yesterday, again, after my first 10, 15 minutes of writing down notes, it could be clearly seen that they'd worked out how we were playing. But we didn't change how we were then playing until 70-something minutes or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly when. I almost think it's an almost admission, because this is not the first time that Conte's had to do this, given the performances. So it's almost like an admission of, well, I know that formation works sometimes, but it's not worked this time. But I'm going to try and persist with it. Yeah, I understand the persistence with the 3-4-3. But we know, me and you, Darius, we know, we've talked about it a number of times. Winks and Højbjerg in a midfield two are not going to be progressive enough if you're chasing a game.
No.
So we need them to be in a position where they're doing what they can do better. 4-2-3-1 might be better if you had them to. Then you've got three in front. Now, because we haven't got Bentancur, because we haven't got Skip, we are missing midfielders. Again, I understand that.
Probably would have won that. Probably would have won the game with those players on the pitch as well, to be honest.
But then find a forward three with Harry Kane as a forward four, if you want to, that's going to be able to do something. We're going to have to accept that we might concede 2 goals, but then we might have players on the pitch that score 4. Do you know what I'm saying? It's these sort of things. Accept what we are and play to them strengths. 3-4-3 continuously when teams have worked us out is not going to work. It's not going to work for the rest of this season now, because I'm looking at the game against Everton and I'm thinking Frank Lampard's probably watched yesterday. Lads, I know. Dele Alli's probably saying, lads, do you know how to beat Spurs? This is what you need to. If he's like, I don't know. But these are the things. I can't go into that Everton game with any confidence at all. None. Let's have a look at the start 11, because this is a very interesting thing. Again, given, you could change them wing backs, you could put Reguilon in there when Reguilon. On the right-hand side, you could put Emerson in there. He was terrible when he came on. Reguilon didn't do much better. Doherty and Cess, okay. They were okay yesterday, weren't fantastic, but played better against Leeds. But again, we're not going to get consistency from them. What's your thoughts on this starting 11? What would you do differently, knowing who started yesterday? Would you keep with this same formation?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I don't know what I would have changed, and that's what scares me the most. I'm just trying to look at the bench now, and that's what's so sad about this all, Sam, because I don't think I would have changed anything.
Not even Rodon, not even maybe a 4-2-3-1, maybe, just looking at what we could have possibly done to protect the back three. I don't know.
As soon as we played 4 at the back, Dyer is not good in a 4. Dyer cannot play in a 4. Romero's fine. Dyer cannot play in a 4. Davis is not a left back. So this sounds so sad, but I wouldn't have changed anything. And that's why I can't blame Conte, because I can't see how he would have done anything different that would have made that situation better. Had he had the players come back from injury, maybe. But right now, I'm looking at that bench, and I would not have benched Son, because nobody would have expected him to play that poorly. And Kulusevski's got 2 goals and an assist in 2 starts. So Doherty scored against Leeds. Sessegnon got an assist against Leeds. I'm sorry, Sam, but I don't think I would have changed anything. And that's the scariest part about it all.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. And like I said, I'm not saying that, this team isn't good enough, because it is good enough. You look at the system might be good enough. But I just saw yesterday, and I saw from the start, after 10 minutes, they've worked us out here, and I couldn't work out what they were doing until late on in the game. So and I'm not saying, again, I'm not going to say that they didn't know how Middlesbrough are playing. Of course, they would have seen it, but they didn't do anything about it until too late. The players, I could see what was happening with certain players. You know what I mean? They had their right back kept coming in field, their left back kept doing the same, and they had two. And I thought, are they playing a free? But what they did is they made it a free at times. And if you watch the game again, their right hand side forward sometimes swapped with their right hand side fullback, and he came in field. They had everything planned out. I can't accept that championship players have more ability to understand instructions with the capabilities that they have. Not one of them players would you say for Middlesbrough. I know in hindsight, you're probably thinking, oh, they could all get into the Spurs team, but not one of them players would you say should be playing at Spurs. Even in that 11, not even in that 11, should one of those Middlesbrough players be getting in his team. How does that work when they were looking the better team yesterday? How does that work?
I don't know, Sam. It just makes me sad. It does make me sad because I genuinely don't know what is going to happen coming these next few games. Again, I would expect us to beat Everton because they are literally the team in the worst form, probably the second to Leeds. But for me, again, I'm kind of gobsmacked by you just showing me that starting 11 and asking me that question because
I was gobsmacked myself, Darius. That's the problem.
When you ask the question, and normally when you say what would you have changed, there's quite a lot you can discuss and say, well, yeah, even Conte's decision sometimes you're, oh, maybe I would have played him, maybe I wouldn't have played him, but that's the exact lineup I would have gone for. And to see them lose to that Middlesbrough team and like you said, almost, not even almost, completely be outplayed by them in the majority of the game, that's scary for what we're going to face up against. I mean, Premier League teams, if they watch that and say, flipping it, Spurs aren't that scary. I mean, Harry Kane might be a threat, but if we shut him out, then a lot of Premier League teams will probably be a lot more confident against us, and that's not good. I'm nervous.
I'm nervous because people are saying things like, oh, just throw in the youngsters from now to the end of the season. Throw in the youngsters from now to the end of the season. Are you mad? We'll kill some of them youngsters. We'll absolutely murder those youngsters.
There's no point
in doing what I mean? There's no point in doing that. Play these players to the end of the season. Play the ones that you know that should be able to take this shit and play them to the end of the season and see, and then we'll see as fans. I think we already made that assessment. Do you know what I mean? But keep playing some of these players and then we'll see what they're like. We are going to get hits and misses. We're going to ups and downs. Sorry, Darius, go on.
I was just going to say you're completely right. I understand. I do get sort of, if you play the youngsters, you have a reason to explain sort of deficiencies in performances. But at the end of the day, I've mentioned about the youngsters. I want the best for the youngsters. And even if they're not going to get into the first team, you want to see them develop into good players. So putting them in this situation right now, the people who should be taking responsibility are the people who have put us in this situation. And that's not Conte. That is those players who are on the pitch not giving. How can you not give your all for Middlesbrough? I'm sorry, Sam. I think you should wrap up.
No, I want to deal with this point first. The Bertie was it 10:08. Sam, you can carry a horse to water, but you cannot force him to drink. Tell me your solution to make these players better. Remember, you only have two midfielders. Now, first thing I'll say to that, you can make players better. That's what coaching's about. So you can make players better. What you probably can't do, and this is all boxing, you can't give players heart. If you're a boxer, you either have that. You can't develop heart. You can't develop wanting to that mentality to be a fight. You can do all your tactical stuff, strategy, but if you get hit on your chin, if you're a boxer, that's it. Oh, I can't take that. That's mentality. That's why you got some players that can just play through anything, and some players that they get a bit of criticism, can't do it, but you can improve them. So tactically, I want to see changes because I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing this, regardless of what the team is, I'm seeing this 3-4-3. Now, if Conte comes out and says, regardless of what results, I'm going to play 3-4-3. He's pretty much said that anyway because he's not defended playing any other system. He's gone with this 3-4-3. Right, okay. Right, we've got the best midfielders out in Skip and Bentancur. Is 3-4-3 going to be a game that a tactic you can win? That you go behind.
That I agree with, and you know what? I can't say anything to that. That's the 10%. And I said the 10% is on Conte. That's 10% because there is better formations he could play even with 3-5-2 would be a lot better for us in
100%.
this given situation. even if Kulusevski doesn't play as a 10, I mean, you could play. I'd even play Kane as a 10 and Kulusevski and Son in front of him, because he seems to want to do the dropping off, and at least he can create. And you know what? If you make it fluid and just say, look, if Kane drops in, then Kulusevski, you go with Son. If Kulusevski drops in, Kane, you stay on the man. If you just communicate, you can do that. So that's the 10% that I'll blame on Conte. 3-5-2. And I've been saying this. You know what my name is? Darius 352K. I've been saying this for a long time. 3-5-2 would at least be a little bit of damage limitation for our injuries at the moment.
And this is the pride thing. We have to accept we might have to be a damage limitation type team, but are the fans going to accept that at home?
No.
You know, are we going to? This is the problem. So we're now. This is my worry now between now and the end of the season, is that, you know, we're going to have to get certain results, even if it's one game a week. We are going to be, if we're going to persist on this 3-4-3. We're going to actually need to have our best 11 every single game. And that's Bentancur having to come back, that's Skip having to come back. You know, I think when we get them two players, I think we can probably afford to play three, even with one of them alongside. I think we can afford to play that way, 3-4-3. But you tell me, you've seen enough games with Højbjerg and Winks in midfield. Is that good enough?
Not going to work. It will work. It will work. As crazy as it sounds, and call me a madman, it probably would work better against your Liverpools and Man Cities than it would work against your Burnleys and your Watfords, because Højbjerg, again, if you play to their strengths and you just basically make them defend and play a one pass into a counter, they're actually okay. As soon as they need to do a little bit more with a ball and actually dribble and create, it's a wrap. So yeah, it ain't gonna work, mate. It's beating a dead horse at this point, aren't we?
Okay, so you're right. I think it's getting even more frustrating the more and more I talk about this, and I can't do anything about it. We as fans, we physically can't change how the team are playing. I know there's a lot of talk about, you know, we need to do this for the board and all the rest of it. I'm not on that. I've already said, if Conte was to walk between now and even the start of next season, and he doesn't get back, that is down to the board. And then, quite rightly, there's got to be more questions. There's got to be things that's got to be done. But I'm putting that aside, because I know the window's closed, and I know we ain't got another window until, you know, end of the season, July 1st, whenever. So I can't do anything about. I can keep moaning and I can keep having, you know, these fits about the players not good enough, the club's mentalities. I can keep on doing that, but I want to know about how you're going to get the result for the next game. Because throwing your toys out the pram, and I'm not saying that Conte needs to be sacked by Spurs. Far from it. He's the best manager we've had the best manager we've had. You know what I mean? If you look at from the Poch
isn't like that long ago, isn't it? A manager that could actually win the league is Bill Nicholson, and Pochettino didn't win the league, and Conte's proven to win the league. That's why I put all my eggs in this basket, bro, because at the end of the day, this man did join Inter Milan, got his players in, and won the league. Went to Chelsea, got his players in and won the league. I'm not going to say that he's going to win the league, but he's the one manager that if you do give him the players and actually fill positions that he's needed, he probably could get as closest to winning the league than we ever would. So, or even at least an FA Cup. He'd definitely win an FA Cup.
You know what even makes me a bit more concerned is when Conte comes out with things, and again he said things, and he's right in what he's saying. I'm usually chasing for higher honours. I'm chasing leagues. This top four thing, he weren't even bothered about. I'm not saying he's not bothered, because that's wrong. But top four was not his. I've not come to Spurs to chase top four.
Yeah, thinking about that, Sam.
Exactly. And I don't think. Go on.
And I think he's, like I said, the reason I've said this season is done, because I think Conte's scratched off this season. He will never take a job halfway through a season ever again.
You know what? I agree with you, but I also think that he's come in and he's realised now it's even bigger than even he thought. And I don't believe even in the summertime we can solve all the problems for us to launch we can't launch a real attack on the league next season without spending 500 million and being very lucky that everything gels and the players that we want out are out in one season. We're talking about from now until the end of next year or May next year. That's 14 months away. What we're saying, and people are going to say to me, in 14 months, Spurs, with all the changes that are going to be made, are going to be title winners or at least title challengers. Come on, do me a favor.
He's no chance.
Do me a favor. That's 2-3 years in the making. We ain't got him for 2 or 3 years. So what is going to happen next year? Even if we got in 5 or 6 players, we ain't going to challenge for the league. So what we're saying, we're going to challenge for top 4.
No, I say we go for cups then. I think if we finish fifth,
that's what we should have been doing for a long. This is what I kept saying for ages. For ages and ages. Just try and win. Change the mentality of the whole club. Win the Carabao Cup. As much as it's only the cup. We've won it.
Yeah.
8 semi-finals and no final is not good enough. That's a mentality thing. That cannot be down to ability, because teams get to finals who are nowhere near the level of Spurs players. It's a travesty what's going on at the club at the moment. It's a real travesty. And I am concerned that this whole rest of this season is now written off. And we're going to just say, okay, Conte, you can have this rest. No, he can't. You can't have the rest of the season off. The players can't. I'm putting pressure on everybody at the club. You can't write off the season. What I'm not saying is we're going to get top 4, but what I'm saying, you can't write the season off and use excuses like, oh, well, the players are not good enough. That's it then. No, can't happen. Can't happen. Darius, final thoughts. Your final thoughts.
All I'll say is this, Sam, because I didn't think this would last an hour, but this has been very, very helpful for me. Strap in, prepare for a long 2 months, and come the summer, I think we'll know very early on the course of Tottenham Hotspur in sort of the foreseeable future. I think this summer, and I know we said this about sort of since the summer of when Poch made that big statement about a big rebuild, we've been saying this is a big summer. This summer is quite potentially the biggest summer of our modern history. And if we get this wrong and we lose our main striker and probably our best manager we've had in a long, long, long time, everything's going to seem even worse. I promise you that. So yeah, let's just hope it. Let's just hope. That's all I can say. At this point, it's just hope for me, because don't know what else to think.
Yeah, we can't write off this year. We have to see how this pans out to get to the summertime. And I'm saying not all the fans, but what I'm trying to do is just paint a picture of reality here. We've gone through a system or a season where we sold back Gareth Bale and we got in 6-7 players. The history suggests we didn't get all them transfers right. We didn't. You know, we can look at again getting 5, 6, 7 players and getting 3 or 4, 5, 6 players out, whatever needs to be done. Our history suggests we haven't done too well at doing that. For it all to happen conveniently, wrap it all up in a bow, yeah, brilliant, to happen in the summer, and then to say to me, right, that team is now ready to challenge the Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, who will get it right. I can't sit here and say that's going to happen. We'll be better. We might be more... But all we're going to be doing is chasing the same dreams we're chasing now, which is top 4. Unless we change that, right? I would look at next season and say to Conte, do everything you can to win a domestic cup.
FA Cup and Europa League.
If we're in the Europa League, even if in that Conference League, I would say win that. And people say, oh, the Conference League is bollocks, it's Farmers League. Well, how comes we didn't fucking win it then? Do you know what I mean? If it's a Farmers League, how comes we're losing to NS Mura if it's that poor? Do you know what I mean? We can't pick and choose what we think we're good enough to be or not good enough. We shouldn't be in that. No, win that. What you can feasibly win. We cannot. I'm going to say again, we cannot win the league next season, but we can win the FA Cup. We could win the League Cup. We could, if we're in the Conference League or even Europa, have a better chance of winning that. We've got better opportunities to win those 4 things that I've said than the league. Anybody who thinks differently, I suggest you just go back and look back at the history of Spurs. Also look at the history of the manager that's actually going to take us to potentially doing that. He hasn't done it with a team like us. He's done it with teams that have got a level of history, ability, regardless of whether Inter hadn't won it for 10 years. Their history suggests that they're winning. The mentality of the club is a winning mentality. Oh, God.
That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing, Sam. Didn't think we'd have that much to talk about, to be honest with you, but
I wanted to do it yesterday, but I knew it was going to end up like this if I thought about it too much after last night and had a sleep on it. It's too much, too many variables going off here. This is what I'm saying. There's not just a couple of things to fix here, and people think the board and that's it fixed. You're fucking wrong here. There's a lot of problems at Spurs, a lot, and we can't sugarcoat it anymore. I'm not sugarcoating anymore, but game to game, it literally is game to game, mate.
Definitely.
And we'll probably come out on Saturday and do the preview show and say, yay, we're going to win 4-1, and we'll probably end up winning 3.
You know what's going to happen, Sam, don't you? Dele Alli hat-trick.
Please, talk to me, let's have a look at some of these comments before we go. Ugly Duckling saying, Levy does not care about football. He's not the only one. He cares about his portfolio. 4 or 5 years of neglect is now showing eating out. David Briscoe, welcome, David. You can only hold off if you have quality players to do so. We get the ball 2 passes, we give it away. We pass back when pressed, putting the press in our own half, gets us into trouble. Tactically, there was so much wrong with yesterday. Gunnar King, player recruitment is not only poor, it does not seem to be happening with a system in mind. The days of just buying good players and expecting to adapt to a system are done. Gunnar King, you know what I mean? We're, rival fans, but there's simple things which people need to understand. We haven't got a philosophy. We don't seem to have a playing philosophy that we can then say everything cascades down from that. Until we get that right, until we know what we want as a club, until we know what type of football we want to play, until we know what type of players will fit that profile, and the manager and the director of football and all of those things, we can't just say, we're going to get the best manager, but we ain't got the best players. Oh, we're going to get a sporting director. Oh, yeah, but we ain't got this in place. Oh, but we ain't got the scouting. With so many. Right, scratch it all. Start from where it needs to. The vision, the philosophy, what do we want to be? And that we ain't. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Gunnar King, suppose he's saying you and me both, Gunnar King. Recruitment has to take place with a system and a style in play in mind. Individual players need to fit, but also work well with other signings and current squad players. Good stuff here. Darius, I think I need to go.
Look, Sam, I'm telling you now, this is the mood this has put me in. I'm giving you guys a POV. I've been doing my recording like this in my bed, laid down in my covers. That's how relaxed I've been, because I'm done. I'm done with Spurs now. They've driven me to the point of just not caring anymore. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I can't even get excited anymore, Sam. So I'll see you tomorrow for talking points. We'll probably
the competitive in me, the competitiveness, the coach, the just that whole football thing can't allow me just to write off this season. I know it's a write off already, but we can't just. Oh well, this is what it seems like now. We're all like, oh well, players are shit. We know that. Board shit. Oh well. Conte's not. Oh well, this is not right. Surely, nah, man.
Until the players are gone. Until the players are gone. That's what I'm gonna say.
This is horrible. Sorry for that, folks, but this is why, what I mean, maybe you should do the therapy sessions straight after the game, and you maybe wouldn't have had me thinking of this for 12 hours or whatever it's been since that game. I don't know. I don't even know. Time-wise, it's just gone. It's gone. Darius, thank you very much. Look out for Talking Points tomorrow. We might have a show where we kind of look at a guide to how to be a Spurs fan during times like these. That's what I think we'll do, a show how to be a Spurs fan during times like these. I don't know. So any suggestions, put them in the comment section below.
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Oh shit! Not at 12, not 1:50 in the daytime though. Surely we can't be doing alcohol at this early. But no, anyway.
Put a Bailey's in your Bailey's in your hot chocolate. There's the excuse.
It is true. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm looking at some of the comments here. David, yeah, exactly that. So often stands flat-footed facing. This is talking about who we talking about here. Which player is that? I don't even want to know.
Winks.
Which players.
Has to be Winks.
Jesus Christ.
Has to be Winks.
Big up, Darius. Please explain to Sam that our first 11, our bench ain't shit. I know they are, babe. I'm not saying they're not. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that we can't just say that's it now. The players are shit and that's it. We'll allow that to just dwindle off into the sunset because we'll end up 10th, 11th, or 12th if that's the case. I'm not joking when I say that, because Wolverhampton Wanderers, if we're saying all these things, are better than us, then Arsenal are better than us, Manchester United are better than us, and we can discount the top three already. So we're already down in a position of 7th, 8th, without the likes of the chasers, behind us as well, who might put a run together. Oh man, this is really, really bad. It's really bad. Simply Ace. Every time Winks blinks, the game passes him by. The pub team would be able to listen to instructions better than most of our players. There you go. Pub team. And pub teams are beating us this season. So it's true. I would have picked that same team as well. Yeah. I think we need to go, Darius. Anything you'd like to say before we go? Last words from you, son.
I want to say thank you to everyone for joining it this time. I know people probably working and stuff, but I don't know how many people do we have viewing us at the moment?
We had 40 on at one point. Now
that's really good. That's really good. So no, thank you for everyone for tuning in, and hopefully, like I said, well, I'm not. No, let me just enjoy your day, guys. Enjoy your day. Tottenham aren't going to play till Monday, so at least that's something to look forward to.
I want to also just, sometimes we get like this. It gets a bit emotional. I feel emotional today. I feel, because it's something you can't do. I can't do anything about it. As much as people say, well, we can do all this. Physically, I'm talking about the games. I can't change the team. I can't, have that influence. All I can do is support the players, but I can make my fucking feelings known, which I think I've done today. I've done that today, 100%. Right then. Anything more, Darius? That's it. Let's go. Is that time to go? I think it is time to go. Right then.
I'm hungry.
Thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Look out, if you want to look out for talking points. No, we'll have probably some more of this in terms of things to talk about with Spurs and what we can do for the rest of this season as fans, how we can mentally get through it, because we're going to need to buckle up, strap in, and get through this all together. Anyway, Darius, thank you, Sid, for when you appeared as well. Thank you to all those who commented, all the rest of the stuff that you've done in supporting Paxton Road over the last year. It's been a year since we started up Paxton Road TV, March last year. So again, thank you very much to all of you who have
have to do something special for that,
yeah, who've made this journey a real journey. It's been a journey, definitely has been. Okay, enough rambling. Darius, thank you very much. We will see you on the next one. Look out for talking points tomorrow.